All right, so continuing with solving, we are going to now start talking about our order of operations and how they are involved. So when we are solving an equation or equations, we are trying to basically strip the variable down. So we call that isolating the variable, but essentially we're trying to strip all those numbers that we added and multiplied and divided to that variable. So you think of the order of operations as the way that your variable got dressed. Like your variable had to put on a shirt before I could put on a vest and then maybe a blazer over that. So there was an order in which it got dressed. So to solve the variable, we need to undress that variable. So if the variable first put on a shirt, then a vest, then a blazer, and you want to undress it, well, you have to reverse that order, take the blazer off, then the vest, then the shirt. Maybe kind of a crude way to think of it, but it gets the idea of what we're doing here. So again, let me resize that. This is a little too big. So by order of operations, the equation 3x minus 8 equals 4 is telling us that the first thing we did with that x is we dressed it by multiplying by the 3, because order of operations says multiplication division first. Then the next thing we do is subtraction or addition. So we first dress it by multiplying by 3, then we add the next layer of clothing by subtracting an 8. So if we want to solve it, we need to reverse that order of operations. So the first thing we need to do is we need to take off that 8 because that was the last thing we put on. So as you see here, the first thing I said, this was added, this was our last step or our last layer. And that 3 is my first layer. So the first thing we do is we remove that last layer. We'll put that way first. The last layer we put on is the one we take off. So what we do is we multiply or we add an 8 to both sides because it's this 8 that we want to nullify. So if we want to nullify the subtraction of 8, then we add an 8. But then because of that addition property, that means I have to add 8 to the other side as well. So we add those 8s. Here they cancel. Here 4 plus 8 is going to give me 12. So then we want to remove what was really that first layer that we put on, which was that 3. So we had to multiply to get the 3 on. So to counter that multiplication, we're going to divide it by a 3. But once again, got to make sure you do it to both sides. So we have to divide both sides by 3. And what that's going to do is that step, after we do that, so we multiplied 3, divide by 3, so we're just left with x by itself. 12 divided by 3 is just 4. And now we have solved. All right, so just another example, we have 9 plus 8x equals 33. So by order of operations, what happened first is that 8. So my first layer was that 8 that was multiplied on, and then my second layer or last layer is putting on this 9. So we technically had to add that 9 to get it there. So if we want to remove the 9, the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to subtract 9 from both sides. So we can kind of reorder this a little bit. There's another way that a lot of times we like to write this that makes it a little easier to see what we did. Which is what I'm going to do here. So we said we want to counter this addition of a 9. So sometimes we just write right under it. What I'm going to do to both sides is subtract 9. So I don't have to write it in the whole line of the equality like I was doing before. I can do that. This is a way of going, okay, that negates, and I'm left with 8x. I have 33 and I'm subtracting 9 from it. That's going to leave me with 24. Now I want to get rid of my next layer. So the second layer I removed because that was the last one I added on. Now I can get down to that first layer. I have that 8. And once again, I'm just going to say I'm dividing both sides by that 8. And we get x is going to be equal to 3. So we've been a little lazy about this, but one of the things we should always do is when we get a solution is actually check it. So I said x is 3. So we're just going to evaluate to see, is it really true that if x is 3, that this whole part here, 9 plus 8, x equals 33. So we get 9 plus 24. 9 plus 24 is going to be 33. So it checks out, it is correct.